Imagine this. You're hiking in the peaceful forests of British Columbia. Pine trees, cold mist, ocean air. Pure silence. But suddenly someone tells you, be careful where you step. They say there's a nuclear bomb hidden somewhere around here. You laugh. Because how can that be possible? But then you learn the truth. In 1950, a U.S. Air Force bomber flying from Alaska caught fire and dropped a nuclear bomb over Canada. And nobody has ever found it. Not the U.S. military, not the Canadian military, not scientists, not divers. No one. A bomb powerful enough to flatten a city, lost between two friendly nations, silently sitting somewhere in forests, mountains, or the ocean, for 75 years. And the craziest part, both governments tried to hide the incident. Reports were changed. Witnesses silenced. Pages blacked out. Until recently, when declassified documents revealed, yes, the bomb was real. Yes, it was armed with uranium. No, it never exploded. And no, it was never recovered. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not a legend. This is a real nuclear weapon lost inside Canada by the United States. Today, we're going to uncover what happened that night. The burning plane, the desperate crew, the bomb falling into darkness, and a mystery so dangerous, so unbelievable, that even now America and Canada don't talk about it. This is the story of North America's missing nuclear bomb. And the truth will shock you. It is February 1950. The Cold War is spreading fear across the planet. The United States believes the Soviet Union is preparing for an all-out nuclear strike. Every nation is paranoid. Every sky is suspicious. And every radar screen is watched like a heartbeat. To remain prepared for a possible Soviet attack, the U.S. begins flying long-range missions carrying nuclear weapons. The idea is simple. If the Soviets launch missiles, American bombers already in the air could strike back instantly. These flights were secret. They were intense. And they carried weapons strong enough to obliterate cities. That brings us to the giant aircraft at the center of this story. The Convair B-36 Peacemaker. It was enormous, bigger than anything else in the sky. With 10 engines and a wingspan wider than a Boeing 747, it could fly across continents without stopping. But for all its size and power, it was also unreliable. Engines overheated. Fuel lines cracked. Electrical systems failed. Still, the missions continued. This was global strategy. Fear kept the world spinning. And so on February 13, 1950, a B-36 took off from Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska, carrying 17 men and one Mark IV nuclear bomb. The crew was told it was just another training flight. But inside the bomb bay was one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed. They had no idea their flight would soon turn into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in North American history.
The Mark IV was the improved version of the bomb dropped on Nagasaki. Even without the plutonium core, it carried nearly 2,300 kilograms of high explosives. Enough to level a small town. Enough to create a blast that would be seen for miles. Inside the bomb, natural uranium tamper, sensitive detonators, a massive assembly of conventional explosives, shock-sensitive wiring. Even without nuclear detonation capability, the weapon was extremely dangerous. If it exploded on impact, the coastline of British Columbia could have been scarred for generations. The crew knew they carried something deadly, but they believed they would land safely hours later in Texas. What they didn't know was that the moment they took off, their fate was already sealed. A few hours into the flight, the crew heard a violent blast. One of the giant radial engines had overheated and caught fire. Flames shot out across the wing. The pilots shut the engine down, but the fire kept spreading. Moments later, the second engine began to fail. Then the third. The bomber was losing altitude fast. The temperatures dropped to freezing. The cockpit filled with smoke. The controls strained under the weight of the giant aircraft. The captain realized the truth. They were not going to make it back to base. the plane would crash. And if it crashed with the bomb still on board, the explosion could scatter radioactive material across mountains, rivers, and coastal villages. They had seconds to choose between two terrible options: crash with the bomb, or drop it somewhere uninhabited and hope it didn't destroy everything. The captain made the decision no pilot had ever made before. In the darkness over the Canadian coast, the crew activated the bomb's self-destruct mechanism. The idea was simple. The bomb would explode in midair when released. The blast would be violent, but the effect would be contained above ground. Better that than detonating upon impact. They'd pushed the release. The bomb dropped into the night. What happened next remains the central mystery of this story. According to the military, the bomb exploded midair with a bright flash. According to witnesses, nothing was seen. No explosion. No sound. No shockwave. Fishermen saw nothing unusual. Locals heard nothing. Seismic stations recorded zero activity. One of the deadliest weapons ever built simply disappeared. How could a nuclear bomb fall to Earth and leave no trace? That question has never been answered. With the bomb gone, the plane still couldn't stay in the air. The engines died one by one. The pilots told everyone to prepare to jump. The weather was brutal. Snow, wind, darkness. One by one, the 17 crew members parachuted into the freezing wilderness of British Columbia. Some landed in the forest. Some hit icy waters. Some were trapped in snowdrifts. Rescue operations lasted days. Several crew members did not survive, but when search teams located the plane's wreckage, they found something missing. Inside the wreckage, burned metal, broken wings, torn parachutes, frozen instruments, but no bomb. Not even a single identifiable fragment, a weapon heavier than a small car had fallen somewhere along the flight path, yet nothing had been found. Not on land, not in the ocean, not on the mountains. It was gone. The U.S. Air Force released a public statement. The bomb contained only a dummy capsule. It posed no threat to the public. But years later, after multiple Freedom of Information requests, parts of the incident were quietly declassified. The truth was completely different. The bomb DID contained uranium. The bomb DID contained all its explosives. The bomb was fully armed except for the plutonium core. The public statement was false. Entire pages of the report were blacked out. Technical details were missing. Charts and maps were removed. Why? Because the Cold War demanded silence. The government feared embarrassment. They feared panic. And they feared giving the Soviets any information. As a result, the truth vanished behind redacted documents. But one fact remained. The bomb still had not been found. Over the decades, independent researchers, divers, historians, and treasure hunters have tried to find the missing bomb. They searched underwater trenches. They scanned forests. They interviewed locals. No success. Some parts of the search area are so remote that even today, barely anyone visits. Towering trees, rocky cliffs, and deep fjords make exploration nearly impossible. The bomb could be buried under soil so deep that it may never be discovered. It could be resting in a mountain lake, or it could be lying at the bottom of a trench under hundreds of meters of water. Every attempt ended the same way, with silence. Over the years, several theories have emerged to explain the disappearance. Theory 1. The bomb sank too deep into the Pacific Ocean. The water off British Columbia's coast is incredibly deep. If the bomb fell into a trench, it may be unreachable. But the official explosion story contradicts this. Theory 2. The bomb landed on land, not water. If it fell on land, it could be buried under forest growth and debris. It may still be lying in the wilderness. Theory 3. Canada secretly recovered it. Some believe the Canadian military quietly retrieved the bomb. No documents support this, but strange military activity was reported in the days after the crash. Theory 4. The U.S. removed the bomb in a covert operation. Some locals reported seeing American naval vessels operating at night. If true, the bomb may have been retrieved in secret. Theory 5. It was never a bomb at all. A fringe theory claims the payload was something else entirely: technology or intelligence equipment disguised as a nuclear weapon. But this theory lacks evidence. Scientists warn the bomb could still be dangerous. Even without the nuclear core, the uranium tamper and explosive materials are harmful. If corroded, the bomb could leak toxic chemicals into the water or soil. Princess Royal Island, near the drop zone, is home to one of the rarest creatures on Earth, the white spirit bear. These animals live almost nowhere else. A single contamination event could damage an irreplaceable ecosystem. The danger is real. The threat is ignored. The bomb remains missing. More than 70 years later, this case remains a haunting reminder of the Cold War's hidden dangers. The governments involved have moved on. The search was abandoned long ago. There is no active investigation, no dedicated search effort, no official acknowledgement beyond old, partially censored documents. The truth is simple and chilling. A nuclear bomb may still lie somewhere in Canada's wilderness, buried, silent, waiting. This story is a window into a world filled with secrets, mistakes, and mysteries the public was never meant to know. It raises questions about responsibility, transparency, and the dangerous legacy of a global conflict that shaped modern history. And until someone finds the missing weapon, this mystery remains one of the most unsettling, unresolved incidents in North American history. So the question remains, where is the missing nuclear bomb? Is it underwater? Lost forever? Is it buried under Canadian forests? Or did someone recover it secretly? One thing is certain. Somewhere in the vast wilderness of British Columbia lies a weapon that should never have existed in the first place. A silent reminder of a time when the world stood on the edge and of how close we came to disaster.